All right, it's been a while. Let's just cut to the chase. It's been quite a while since I posted my last video. Put a couple shorts up, but gonna do the first full video of the Atom Stack, and we're gonna be doing some laser engraving on some tumblers. Sorry I haven't put anything out in a while. Kind of still learning the machine, learning things. This is only my second attempt at painted tumblers, so we're gonna. First attempt took about 6 tries. Got it figured out for the most part. Got it tuned pretty decently. So what you just saw just a second ago was me just getting the laser engraver up off the ground in order to clear the height that we're going to need to do the tumblers here. So we're going to do 3 of them. We're going to do a black one, a yellow one, and a blue one. Like I said, we've already done one. It was a navy blue one. I did learn that the laser is a little hard to engrave on that for some reason. So I'm still learning that whole aspect of what colors absorb more laser ray than other colors that don't. I learned that black doesn't. So I did some black flash the other day and they turned out really good. So got some high hopes with this tumbler today. The Yetis do have a thicker powder coat paint on them, so it does make it a little bit harder to engrave in. So we're gonna run a little bit slower, but it'll turn out pretty good. I can show you a test piece right here, actually. So this was the initial test piece here. As you can see, the logo is supposed to be completely circle. It's oval shaped in the engrave. There was the first one that was a little under power, a little over speed, and one or two, I don't know, so I just bumped them both up and down. This one here worked out just fine, other than it's oval shaped as well. This was the initial first one I did, and it looked good, but I couldn't tell because it was black soot on it from where it was engraving, and it wasn't pulling the soot away. And then we come down here to that one. That was the next one we did. That's when we realized we were oblong, but we were still trying to figure it out. And there's also, if you can look really close here, you can kind of see lines still in it. They're really small, tiny little lines. I had to get my line spacing figured out. Once we did that, we came to this one here, and that's when I realized I had gotten the setting for being closer to round a little bit better. I figured out the setting for that. And then we came to the last one here, and it's not a perfect circle, it's not a true circle, but it's as close as I'm going to get right now. So we've got this pretty much dialed in, and we're going to be doing 3 more tumblers of the same style tumblers here. And then if you look here, Mr. Logan Tetley got his name engraved in it, just kind of as a little thank you for letting me use up his cup and make it a disaster. So the next 3 won't be a disaster, hopefully. I'm pretty confident that we got it taken care of now. So with that, we're gonna go back in here. We're gonna finish setting this laser up. We gotta put the roller in and get the wires hooked up. Then we gotta jump into light burn and change the settings to rotary roller, so that way it knows what to move and what not to move. So with that, we'll be back in just a moment. All right, before we jump down in here and throw this rotary roller into the laser engraver here, I want to let you all know that it doesn't matter in light burn if you don't have light burn open, or if it isn't open, should I say. It doesn't matter. You can actually unplug the Y-axis, or I'm sorry, the X-axis, and then you can also plug in the rotary roller with it. Light burn still open as it is, or closed. It doesn't make a difference. It still reads it either way. You're not changing anything other than where the signal's going to, and it doesn't recognize that it's a rotary roller, different signal than it is an X-axis. So no worries there. We're gonna set this thing in here and get to burning. All right, one thing you wanna make sure you do though, is you wanna make sure that with this rotary roller, and I'm sure they're all the same, you have the right wire. There is a black end and a white end. For this particular engraver, you gotta use the white end. And then the black one, I'm not too sure what happens. I did connect, kind of piggy-tailed the black one off of this one, and it actually, I guess, sent the signal both directions to the motor to spin left and right sometimes, so it really sounded terrible. So I don't recommend doing that. But the next thing you're gonna do is you're actually gonna come back here to the back side, and I'll move this camera so we can see it, is this wire right here. You're gonna unplug it, and you're just gonna let it hang down. Then you're gonna take this wire off the rotary roller tool, and you're just gonna plug it in to this wire here that you unplugged, and you're connected. That's all you need. Now, in my case, the machine was already off, so I turned it back on real quick. Make it a lot easier. It's going to home itself. It's going to attempt to. It's going to go for so long. All right, I hit the home button just so it would stop. All right, so here we are. We're down here inside the laser engraving enclosure. We have our back piece here for our rotary roller that we're going to slide in. It's really simple, really easy. And then we got our cup here as well. So let me turn this a little bit so we can see what's going on here with this. All right, so if you see here, we got the rotary roller. We got everything set up. Sorry for all the wires. It's a big production area. Got the laser engraver. I got cameras everywhere. Oh, I just turned my camera. That's what happens when you're not paying attention to what you're doing. So we're gonna set this thing in here. The height should be set already, being we just did this the other day. We are gonna make sure that we are squared up parallel with the laser engraver itself, the Y-axis here, and get this put in place. Now I will say, the Atom Stack rotary roller, the roller itself is great. The back piece is not. It's separate from it. It doesn't sit flush very well. Technically, you should take this back wire here, the main control wire, and run it out the back end like this. But for me, it doesn't sit well. The back piece, the support piece, does not sit well. You see, there's two little, actually like felt pads. When I say felt, I mean it's thin, like a 64th of an inch. It's real thin. So there's really no gap between it to let the wire sit there. So you end up, your support ends up rocking around. So I always just move this to the front. And then set this underneath, and it sits a little bit better. It's a little more stable. Still not the best. Atom Stack could do some changes with that. But all in all, it does the job. So we're going to take our cup and we're going to set it in place. All right. So once we get it set in place, now one thing I want you to notice is like this Yeti cup. I think they call this the Rambler, I believe. I can't remember. It's got not only the stamped Yeti logo, it's powder coated, but it's also got the engraved Yeti logo from Yeti themselves. I hate that they do that because it takes away space to do our laser engravings, but I understand it. I get it. No big deal though. All right, so we got it set in here, and one thing you gotta keep, and I bought these for like $3 off Amazon. I'll link them down below in the video. These little levels, they work out perfect for this because they're not too big. They're easy to see, but you just set it in place. Actually, let's do some other things. Let's get the laser engraver moved. Set. All right, that's out of the way now. So, you keep it on there. Set it in place, and you can look at it, and it's almost level. I could drop the back end just a little bit, which I probably will, but I'm gonna go from the very top and look down and get a more accurate reading. So 1 second. Yes, and the back end needs to come down a little bit. So we can kind of play with this a little bit. We can set it like that, which ain't gonna work all of a sudden. So now, take our Allen key, and we just loosen these two little back nuts, nothing big. Hold it tight with your hand so that way it doesn't just drop on you and then you knock off your level and your cut gets all out of whack. Alright, so now you just kind of eyeball it a little far. And once you get it to where you want it, which is almost there, that's pretty daggone close. That's pretty even right there. Remember, you want to have it flush. You want it even, you want it level. You don't want it offset, because then your focus is going to be way off, and then you're going to have major issues. It's going to either A, not burn at all in the material and scar the paint, or B, it's going to engrave a lot bigger and distorted, and you don't want that. All right, so we're pretty well set there. We're gonna call that good. So we got that in place. Now we're gonna move our laser head. And we're gonna set it right over top of the cup here. And we're gonna take our gauge here. This is a 2mm gauge that AdamStack sends with their laser engraver. Yeah, it's nice, it's okay. Appreciate it, great. I don't like that it's semi-clear acrylic or semi-black acrylic. I don't think it's really that great for blocking out any kind of laser rays or radiation, as they call it. So I highly recommend getting a 3D printed block. But with that, I think we're set. We're gonna, oh wait, we didn't check the clearance. We just kind of eyeballed it. All right, so I'm off by a little bit. I'm gonna tighten that up just to get it up out of the air. And oh, that's pretty dang on close, but we're still gonna set it. All right, so we're smack dab in the middle. Sorry, I'm blocking my face. Not that you came here to see my face. All right, so we're all set. Next thing we want to check is where that engraved logo is and where the customer wanted their engravings to be. So like this customer here, he wants his logo on the other side of the factory engraving, which is how we got it set up right now, which works out great. And then he'll want his name on the other side. So we're gonna set this. Now, one thing that I do for my lasers, or for the cups actually, is I set my, and I'll show it up here in Lightburn, but I set it up for, I believe it's current position. Yes, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So we're gonna set this, we're gonna move it down to the middle. We're actually gonna readjust it because it does taper down. So it's, all right, so we're gonna take a view from up top real quick just to make sure that we're set. You might not liking this. So let's see. I'll just turn my camera a little bit here. So if you see, this side here is higher because of it tapering compared to this back side here, which is where it's supposed to be. So I have a dilemma, and I got to figure out what I'm going to do about it. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to raise the back support a little bit and get it a little bit more, I guess you could say level, I guess you would say. Yeah, that's about the only thing I can do. So let's see what that'll do. All right, so instead of sitting there looking for my tool, my Allen key, it's just easier if I just grab my toolkit that I use. I highly recommend this. It's a little tech toolkit. It's got a ton of bits in it, a ton of nice little tech screwdriver. It extends, and it's also got a flexible extension that goes along with it. I will link that below down too. It was an Amazon buy, and it has been a lifesaver. I use it not only for this, but I use it for my 3D printers, my sim rig, computers, stuff like that. I mean, it's been handy as hell. All right, so what size we got here? I think that's the size we need. And see, I didn't hold it so it fell. We're going to check our level. Now we're way off. All right, so I'm actually going to set it a little high on the back end. And the reason I'm doing that is to adjust for the taper. And that seems a lot better. Oh yeah, that's spot on. That's 10 times better. And I found my Allen key. Imagine that. All right. So one thing I want to make sure I'm doing, I want to make sure I'm still squared up with the laser engraver, which it appears that we are. I've got the middle of the word Yeti that's painted, not engraved, it's painted, facing upward. I think we're good to go. I got my laser pretty well centered as possible. We're gonna go up top and we're gonna look at the center from top to bottom. Like I said, he wants it in the middle. All right, so here we are in Cura. We got our image up here, and we've actually taken it and we rotated it 90 degrees to the left, or clockwise, if you want to put it that way. We are going to jump over here and we're going to switch over to inches for a moment. Normally I would just run on millimeters, but he had a specific size that he wants. He wanted a 3-inch, and since I don't feel like doing the conversion to get it, it's easier for me to say, okay, 3 inches. So we're up here in the top. We're going to go to our width. It's going to be 33 point something. So we're going to go ahead and remove that part. Go down, 3, enter. Okay. Now we have a perfectly equal image. I won't say square, but equal image. 3 inches. We're going to set our, we're going to get our rotary turned on. We're going to make sure our settings are set to millimeters per second. That's what we're going to set to for right now. I find it easier to work with millimeters per second. I don't know why. Millimeters per minute is usually the way to go, but that's all right. So we go into our editing here. We go to settings. We see that we are sitting at millimeters per second. You just saw me switch it here, and we're gonna hit OK. And then we're gonna go over here to laser tools at the top, rotary setup, and we're gonna make sure rotary is enabled. Now you want to take your cup and you want to measure where you're going to be engraving the diameter of it. So let's grab our cup and our calipers and we'll get it situated. Alright, so here we got our Yeti and we got our calipers here. So we're just going to come over here, we're just going to take it, leave it millimeters, and we're going to go almost for the middle. See that this cup is it does kind of sink in here. So we are going to have a little bit of an offset. That's all right. So we're going to find roughly the middle where he wants it. And we are sitting at 83.2. I don't know if you can see that on the calipers or not. Let's see if it'll show it. But yeah, so they're 83 millimeters. So we've already got it in here as 83 millimeters from the last one we just did. Actually, all the settings are already put in there. Once you go into your object diameter right here, where you put in your 83 millimeters, it will calculate the circumference for you, so don't worry about that. You do want to measure the millimeter, the diameter of your rollers on your rotary tool. That's one thing you want to make sure that you do. That will make a big difference. And we are at 15 millimeters for ours. The rotary axis, but the millimeters per rotation, that's kind of a guessing game from what I can gather. You're going to have to kind of mess with it. So it's like that first cup I showed you, there was multiple tests. Well, once I was able to tune it in to the millimeters per rotation, which is the rotation of the rollers themselves, they can roll too fast or they can roll too smooth, or too short. I don't know why I said smooth for. So make sure that you check that. We do have a roller and not a chuck. A chuck style is one that actually goes inside and clamps on the inside. We don't have that. We just have this rotary. It's going to set down on top of the rollers and the wheels and let it do its thing. So once you got all that set, pretty easy. Make sure you're set for most hobby lasers or diode lasers are going to be a Y-axis you're going to use. So hit OK on that. Okay, so now you can see the top here. That is a symbol for that the rotary is enabled. We're going to make sure our settings are good. We're going to be doing 50 millimeters a second at 100% power. And the reason we choose 50 is because blue, the color blue, yellow, white, things like that absorb and reflect the diode laser, the blue laser. So you gotta slow it down a little bit. Yes, it does take it a slightly longer, but it doesn't take very long at all. You really won't notice it. So once you're there, you're gonna go and, of course, I'm going to view and see how long it's gonna take. It says it's gonna take 17 minutes to engrave it, which is expected, running at 50 millimeters a second, which is still decently quick, though, if you really think about it. And from there, we're going to move over to the laser. Now, we don't have the cup set in there yet. We don't have the support rollers set in there yet, so we're going to set those up before we even worry about framing it. We still got to set the height of the actual laser itself. So let's go down inside the box and see what we can do by getting it set up. All right, so we did get the cups done. We got all three of them done. Had a couple hiccups. One being, okay, well, first off, here's the first one we engraved, and it looks great. Everything looks good on it. I had to adjust the rotary rolling speed a little bit. No big deal. Got it straightened out. And then I went to engrave this person's name, and if you can see, some of the engraving up here didn't come off, unfortunately. Oh well, no big deal. Customer is not really too upset. I told him about it. Did add in this little extra, this deer here. The customer's a brother-in-law, so I can add extra and not really get in trouble for him. So then this one here, the yellow one, it turned out probably one of the best. It's the shape's off a little bit, so I adjusted the speed down just a touch, and the next one came out perfect. So as you all can see here, the deer turned out really good. The name turned out perfect. Very satisfied with that. So that one's done. And then this one here was a bit of my fault for not paying attention. The name started to actually kind of angle up. You can't really tell because I got to cover it up for the most part, but it's not right. It needs some work, but it'll do. But this emblem here turned out perfect, probably the best out of them all. As close to perfect as you can get. I was gonna put a deer here, but he's got a sticker he wants on there, so we didn't get it. But other than that, I mean, really, they all turned out good. The yellow one was probably the best. All around results were just awesome. They were great. The black one had, no issues whatsoever. So what caused this lettering or the engraving to not go through is going to be a couple of things. One, it's a blue paint with a blue diode laser, so it really has a hard time penetrating sometimes. So that was a factor. Also the factor that I didn't have my air assist on, so it was building up crud on the nozzle, the air nozzle for it. So I'm sure that had something to do with it as well. And then also when I went back to do the name on this one, I didn't check my my gauge in between the laser head and the actual tumbler, and it was off by just a little bit, so the focus was off, unfortunately. If I have to, I'll buy him another one and redo it. I'm not worried about it. But with that, guys, I'm going to end it here. Like I said, like I've preached before, be sure to hit that subscribe button for me, please. I greatly appreciate it. Hit that like button, the thumbs up, and make sure you hit the bell notification. Let YouTube know that we're here making videos for you all, and just trying to get as much content as we can. I'm going to try to get more videos out. I will be releasing a full review in the next week or so. I started working on a couple videos to get it going. I threw this one together real quick tonight. So, but look for the full review in the next week or two for sure. Also, stay tuned for shorts. I tend to put some shorts out there. With that, guys, I appreciate y'all stopping by Laser Method. I will see you all later.